Let's keep with the organization. Okay, well, I'm gonna move this back into do. And we've got, I think I called it, threw it in like onboarding. Yeah, we've got this landing page. Welcome. What's this thing? A landing page and a welcome screen. What was I thinking? Use this page to allow the user to sign in, sign up. Cool, so that's what it will be. Um, I want to make sure my automation is right for this. So pull requests when they're added, go to in progress. Oops. And then done whenever a pull request is merged, it goes here. Okay, so let's get started on the landing page. I am going to rename this branch to a set. Okay, so let's go into we've got UI. Let's do landing. Or do I want to call it login? Maybe landing was wrong. Let's call it login. Whoops. Let's put this in a package. And create a login screen. So before I do this, we're gonna need, so before we get into the data side of this, we're gonna think about the fact that we're gonna need like a login view state. So let's define that real quick. This can be a data class that has like a username and a password. Whatever the user is entering. We'll just start with that. Let's keep up with our documentation. This defines the state of the login screen. The current text entered in the username field, current text entered in the password field. Okay, and then login screen that's composable contains the entire screen for handling user login. And we'll have this consume the view state. The current state of the screen to render. Okay. I might, so some convention that I use in the past is like when I have a composable called a screen, that is where I would put like this would reference a view model and it would observe the view state, and then I would reference like login content, I guess is what I would call this container. So let's call it that. Let's call it login content. Um, and the screen naming convention will be for like when we reference the view model. And maybe once I do this, I'll also get into that idea of adding like markdown files for more specific documentation around a topic, and not just like the KDoc documentation that we're seeing here. But let's add a preview where it's TOA theme, login content. Oops. We need to give it a view state. Let's just start with everything as empty for this one. Let's call it that in case we want to make a filled one later. Okay, so we've got everything we need. Let's build it. So my rough idea here was we fill the screen. We have some padding around the outsides, 24 to be exact, around all sides. These components kind of like shunted in at the bottom, and then the logo will determine a size, but basically want to, and I don't think it's centered in Figma, but we want it centered between the top of username and the top of the screen. I'm going to build this from the bottom up, more or less. Let's talk about how we can do that. So all of this exists inside of a column, and we actually we can give this a modifier. We want this to fill the max width, or actually, we want, okay, this column is going to be the whole screen. So let's do fill max size. Um, let's put this inside a surface and give it we'll have our primary color, and then we'll put this inside of that. But I'm actually wondering if I want to use the material scaffold. I wonder if that's what I actually should use here. Does scaffold have a color parameter? It has a content color. Oh, it has a background color. That's what I want to change. Nope. Background color. Let's just run this. Let's just look at this preview to make sure I'm on the right track as far as the actual shape of this thing. And then we'll start adding some components in there. Okay, yeah, we're on the right idea. Here's our background. Okay, so let's throw some things in our column. Well, one thing is I can't put padding on this, right? No. So let's give it some padding. I'll probably extract these into dimensions, but let's get something in the preview first. So add that padding. We're going to have our sign up button. So we're going to secondary button. Here we'll put sign up. On click, we're not going to do anything with that yet. Above that, we're going to have our login button. So that's a primary button. Text will be login. On click, we're not going to worry about that yet. This one, in the designs though, we did have, we changed the color for this to our secondary color. And then we've got TOA text field. Oh, that's not on this branch. Because I started a new branch. Okay, before we merge that, let's also what I'm going to do to test out how this is looking. I'm just going to add like a spacer, and I'm going to give it a weight of 1. And so this will basically fill up all the space and shove everything in there to the bottom. And before I do that, I want to give these all consistent spacing, which I think I made. Oh, I did not give it consistent spacing. Okay, forget that idea. Let's throw a spacer in here of 12. And now let's build and refresh this. And while that's building, I want to see if I'm free to merge this pull request now. I am. Okay. Let's merge our text field pull request. Fixes number 33. Okay. All right. We have an issue with our secondary button. Not really an issue, but kind of an issue. So the issue here being that the text button color defaults to our primary color. Um, but here, where obviously we're not on a primary color, we want it to be something else. So let's go into the secondary button and let's modify that. So here we can say our text color should be, let's call it content color, should be material theme.colors.primary. And then, whoops. So here we can say button colors will be text button colors. And then I'm having pop-up issues because Command P is supposed to do stuff as well. Content color equals content color. Oops. And then here we can say colors equals button colors. So now let's try to rebuild this and see how this looks. So many imports. Yeah. Um, but part of that is also because KT-lint doesn't allow for wildcard imports. If you don't care about those, like this could be round up into like 3 things. But by default, I don't allow wildcard imports, so it gets kind of long. Oh, okay. Well, it's not enough. Every every engineer knows this. It's not enough to just write the code. You have to call the code. So even though I made it so you could supply the content color, we're not seeing it because I didn't supply the content color. Um, but let's use on primary here, since I know that primary is my background color up there. Can I? Is this internal? Can I? Okay, I can't do it. So, okay, we're just gonna mark it's that. Okay, now build and refresh. Calling the code? Who would do that? Okay, nice. So let's commit what we have so far. Um, adding buttons to login for number 7. We're going to commit this code. We're going to pull down our code from development, and then we'll do a quick little rebase so that we have access to our text field. And I'm gonna throw everything on the screen, and then I'm gonna clean this up because there's a couple things in here that I would consider like a no-no. Um, okay, we're not gonna commit because of an unused private member. Mm. Okay, I'm gonna use it eventually, all right? But we'll delete it for now. But detect might still yell at me because of that code comment. Okay, no, we're good. Um, okay, so that's pushed. Let's go back to development. Let's pull. Um, we're good. I think we've got everything. Did that not work? Why don't I see it? What did I do wrong? Maybe I don't know. I think it was the, oh, I didn't switch branches. Apparently double clicking doesn't switch branches. You know about amend commit? I know it's a thing. I don't do it a whole lot because of the fact that I like to squash and merge my pull requests. So I don't really concern myself too much with the individual commits, but I know it's a thing I could do if I needed it. And you know what? We're just gonna merge into current. Okay. Now we've got our login content. Let's add this back because now I'm gonna use it. Um, Above our primary button, um, I need to add this down here. Above our primary button is when we're going to add the password text field. So text will be viewState.password. On text change, we're not going to do anything with that today. Label text will be password. Um, what did I put here? 48. That feels like a lot, but I guess it's fine. Let's do it. Um, one thing I'm gonna do is make this like a reusable thing. Um, then above password, we're gonna have to put a username. And then between these, let's do let's also do 12. Instead of 24, which is what's in Figma, let's put them as close together as the buttons. Um, okay, let's build a preview, see what we get. Or not. Android Studio is giving me all sorts of weirdness. Let's close the file and reopen it. There we go. Gotta love Android Studio. Oh my god. Oh, it's the same problem, I guess, as before. Um, so problem being that this uses like the primary color, but here I've got like it's a little inverted here. Um, I'm surprised that that doesn't happen out of the box. Let's take a look at outline text field. I think this also has like a colors class. Yeah, there's outline text field colors. And it gets the local content color. So why? Huh. Oh, no, it's still dealing with surface stuff. Um, so I think if I want to show this on a primary background, I'm gonna have issues. I'm kind of thinking about walking this back and inverting this screen and making it a white background. Because I think that's how I'm gonna get like the most use out of my existing components without having to recolor all of them myself, if that makes sense. Um, Although I guess there's nothing wrong with recoloring them. But like what I'm saying here is like what happens if I just get rid of this and I could create a colored version and maybe that's what I'll do. But I'm just looking at all of these colors that exist here wherever it was. Um, I'm looking at all these colors and thinking about how many things could go wrong. So I'm actually wondering what this might look like if I just use the defaults for everything and how bad this might look. Um, This is actually really light. I don't like how light that looks. Or I mean, I don't like how thin those borders look, but this actually isn't too bad. It's actually not bad at all. Um, I think we're gonna roll with this, and I think we'll save this for when we do implement like a dark theme. This could be like a dark theme login. But if the rest of the app is gonna be light, maybe this is better. What is the scaffold for here? Um, that's just like a material design component. If I need to provide like, it gives me the default like for lack of a better word, scaffolding of a material UI. So it gives me the ability to add a top bar and a bottom bar here, like a floating action button and stuff if I need it. I suppose for this particular screen, I don't need a scaffold because I might not do any of that, but it was just kind of like a just in case I want to provide any sort of scaffolding behavior. I could wrap it in the scaffold. Um, all right, so let's roll with that. Let's roll with this for now. Um, and the next thing is I basically want to take this remaining space. I want to throw in the button or the icon. I have to think about how I'm going to do that. Well, we can make an image actually. Um, check mark. So let's add the image. Nope, not that. And I'm just thinking ahead at like, how do I style this? Um, because I don't want this to be too big. Um, see scaffold defined once for the whole app. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. If I was making like a main screen, I would probably do that. Um, I guess another reason is because scaffold gives me like a default color, but um, I could just do surface to get like the colored background and color here. I could do. Uh, well, I think by default, surface will just be pure white, um, as opposed to this, which is actually like that off-white bluish tint. But it would also fix some of this other stuff because it would have that like local content color. Um, yeah, surface would fix. Well, in this particular case, it didn't really make a difference, but yeah, now it's like pure white instead of like a slight blue. Um, okay. Um, so I'm looking at this, and I'm trying to figure out what size to make it. Um, on one hand, I would like one thing you can do to this, which is kind of cool, is you can do modifier. I can give it a width, fill max width, but then I can give it a ratio. So I can be like, I want you to be like 1/4 the size of the screen. I wonder what that's going to mean for the height. It might just scale. Okay, maybe I don't want you to be that small. Let's try a 0. Oh, nice. Okay, that's a little better. 7.5. Let's try that. So I can give it a max width like that. Um, Another thing I can do, I'm also noticing there's like invisible padding in here. I'm not sure where this is coming from. I didn't put that there. I wonder if the text field does it, because it'll come up or something. Um, but all right, this is somewhere. Uh, now all I want to also add, um, I want everything centered horizontally, so this gets shunted in the middle. And then if I wanted to kind of fill the space, I could just put another like full spacer before and after it. And there we go. That's our login screen. Not bad. Not great, but not bad. I'm going to try to use the background color here instead of the surface color because I think it's very subtle. You'll see it flash, but it's like a very slight tint of blue instead of being pure white, and I think it looks pretty good. Okay. I can run with this for now. Let's clean up the code. Because there's a couple things that I would have liked to change here. So, um, can you add the original background color to see the behavior of it? Yeah, I can. Let's see if that changed. I don't I don't know if it will matter. I think that those components are going to default to the primary color. Um, and I think it's expecting to not be used on primary. Yeah. So that code, just to look at it, is so like here, we see the text color doing some local content color work, which is why I'm surprised that's not getting the color like white. But if we look at like the focused indicator color, the default here is primary. Oops, sorry, I was hovering over. The default here is primary. Uh, so I would need to kind of supply it myself. Um, I'm surprised. I wonder how this works and yeah. We could definitely do something to it, but now that I've kind of said it out loud, I'm like kind of going back to the idea that as much as I would love a blue login screen, maybe it makes sense for that to be a dark theme thing. But would the colors still be the same? I don't know. I think I'd rather start by going down this rabbit hole of like following the standard material design guidelines or material setup, and then we can always enhance on it afterward. I've also been streaming for a while, so I should probably wrap up soon-ish. But let's continue to clean up this screen. And we'll also figure out why detect won't let me push any of this code. Probably all these magic numbers, to be honest. Um, so what do I want to change here? Well, one is a bunch of. Oh yeah, yeah, you like that? I love that. I'm really glad. That looks good. I wish it's not super prominent in the camera, but it's in the background. So the first thing is all these string resources. Um, logo content description. We'll just extract this as username. We'll extract this as password. So extracting all the string resources. Um, so when we have spacers and columns like this, there's kind of two approaches some people will use. One is I could put the padding on an individual component, which I don't like that. I don't think it applies to the component. I like this spacer. Uh, but then this feels like a lot of boilerplate to be repeated so many times. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a new package here. Uh, core, and then let's call it like, let's make a new file, let's call it vertical spacer. And then we can create a composable vertical spacer. And then we can consume a height. So this is a custom spacer that consumes a height and removes boilerplate. So then here we could do spacer modifier dot height. So now over in my column, um, I could take stuff like this and I could just do vertical spacer 12 dp. Um, vertical spacer 48 vertical spacer. Um, so that's one way of cleaning it up. Um, what else would I change here? This I'm gonna make a dimension resource. Um, and I'm gonna call it like screen padding because I think there will be other screens where I want that consistent 24 dp padding. So let's do that. Screen padding. See you next week, CP. Have a good night. Um, uh, okay, those are the big ones. One thing that's gonna have to change is um, these callbacks should go inside the login content here, but we'll fix those when we actually implement this screen. Um, let's figure out why detect was yelling at us earlier. Probably a new line to end of file. We could fix that. This is a magic number. Um, let's define this. We could just do that up here. We could do app logo with percentage, and then replace this app logo with percentage. I'm surprised that it doesn't yell at me for using a magic number if I like call a function on it. So like 48.dp is not considered a magic number here. Why are you yelling at me? Um, I don't know if I want to make these dimension resources or not. I don't think so, because they are kind of specific to this screen. So we might leave them as they are. Okay, that looks good. Let's deploy it on a device, but let's also commit it. Um, okay. Okay, that looks pretty good. We'll maybe next time we'll work on the status bar coloring, and I would like to look at I would like this to be um a real end-to-end experience. Like actually maybe make these bars like transparent, um, and then deal with like accompanist insets to handle that edge-to-edge experience. But I'm looking at the time and how long I've been streaming, and I definitely need to start wrapping up. Um, but this stream was a ton of fun. Thank you all for hanging out. I hope you all learned something from it. Let's get that last pull request up, and then we can see if someone is online that we could raid today too. Um, login screen UI. This will be, I guess, this can be an enhancement. This can go into onboarding. Oh, thank you for the cheer, WebShark. And it's the UI portion of the login screen. Oh, I was going to show one other thing that I do like to sometimes clean up code in Compose. So by using my own custom components, this column right here, this code, it's pretty small for the amount of stuff on the screen. However, it's still, at a glance, complicated. So let me show you all one really cool hack when you have a column of stuff in Compose. Really anything, but with a column it helps a lot. Um, if you've never used the keyboard shortcut Command-Option-M, it's for extract method. You highlight some code, and then it will take everything you have in here and then put it into a new method. So we're just going to take all this, and we're going to throw it in app logo. And then we're going to take this, and we're going to throw it in username input. And we're going to keep doing the same thing with all of these things, login button. And then what you get is this masterpiece where we're like, okay, fill all the space, add the app logo, fill all the space, username input, some space, password input, space, login button, space, sign up button. Yeah, it's an amazing keyboard shortcut, and it's super helpful in Compose because now you have a lot of functions. You have a lot of these tiny functions, but they're all 4 or 5 lines each, very clear about what they're doing, and then your root composable becomes so nice. Like, this is so clean that I can, like, you can look at this and you can actually start to picture it. Maybe you can't, I can, but super helpful. Doesn't need to be in a column. It really shines when you're reading vertically because you're reading code the same way it looks. But this could be for anything, like breaking it down really small helps a ton. So let's make sure. And then there's actually some cleanup I could do here. Like, I don't need to pass view state, right? Username input should probably like just take in like text and then on text changed is what should happen here. And then we just fill those in. And then so really all this is doing is the label text. But again, it's pulling out some of the information in a way that makes this so much nicer. So just something to think about. Now that I've gone down that rabbit hole, let's do the same thing here. Um, text, text changed. Now I'm tempted to like go into some testing with this now that we've added these, but let's go a little further on this. Let's do a little further to set ourselves up for the next stream. Um, specifically around like, okay, I mentioned that this composable is supposed to strictly be the UI. It should not do things to manipulate state. It consumes the state, but it needs to expose anything that would change the state. So really here we should say on username changed. This will be string, right, with the new username. On password changed. This will be a new thing with a string. Then we have, on login clicked, which will be unit. And then we can have on sign up clicked, which will also be unit. And then so let's document these real quick. A callback invoked when the user enters their username. A callback invoked when the user enters their password. A callback invoked when the user clicks the login button, and then a callback invoked when the user clicks the sign up button. I wonder if there's a lint check that can enforce, like, for certain functions that I add kdocs to it. That would be cool. Um, So this is what I mean. These get really annoying when it comes to the previews because I basically just need to like add a bunch of empty checks because in previews I don't care. But yeah, I think for these cases it's like a necessary evil. Um, so now let's actually reference those. On username changed, on password changed. For login button, we're gonna pass on click will be on login clicked. This one on click will be on sign up clicked. And then we gotta fix the compilation errors here. Click. We'll pass on click there. Um, and then sign up button also consumes an on click. On click. What was that? Put parameter name shortcut. Oh, so yeah. So let me remove it. So um option enter is what I did. It's a super powerful shortcut in so many scenarios. It's like if you're hovering over something that needs to be imported, you can do option enter to import. That's what I did here. And I put it right inside the opening brace, and then it gives me two options. It's put arguments on one line or add names to call arguments. And then, so that's what I did. I did add names to call arguments. It's like option enter, alt enter on Windows, whatever the mapping is. That's what I use there. Cool. So let's push this. Yeah, it's really great. I love it. Um, what do we say? Cleaning up code, handling callbacks. Awesome. So, see, danger got me. Please update stream history with relevant information. So let's do that. Let's copy this because I know I'm going to need it. Um, stream history. Okay. Android Studio issues. We pivoted to also including the login UI. Also, while I'm here, this did get uploaded to YouTube. So let me go to my YouTube list and get that link while I'm here, if you don't mind. Um, okay, cool. And then I'll put a note here because I'm going to need this eventually. Okay. Updating stream. Awesome. So while that's running, we should be good. Um, we can call that for today. So next time we can. What are we gonna do next time? Well, maybe I can figure out the app logo stuff. Um, or or show y'all how I did some stuff in Figma. Um, or we'll actually implement like some data behind this login screen. Currently, I stream every Wednesday at the same time, 6:30 Eastern US time. So whatever 3 hours ago was, that's when I started, and I stream at the same time every Wednesday. So I'm looking to add more later in the fall, but right now it's just every Wednesday at the same time. Awesome. Let's yeah.